grandpa stole his first buggy in 1892. I met your grandma pig slopping in 46.
Oh, every Christmas we'd visit my Uncle Fred in prison.
And welcome, socially isolated genies, to another episode of Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show, and ExtremeGenes.com. My name is Fisher. I am your radio root sleuth on the program where we shake your family tree and watch the nuts fall out. And, of course, we're doing the show direct from Fisher Castle, as always now these days. And I know so many of you are working from home as well. We got a great show today lined up, and we're talking about photography today and making a record of what's going on with the pandemic, what your experience is like, because as I like to say, we're living in somebody else's past. Let's get a good record of that and make that available for our descendants down the line. We're going to talk to Maureen Taylor. She is the photo detective. She's got some great ideas and some great plans on this, and some places for you to look at, because her state is actually putting together a pandemic record that everybody can contribute to. So it's kind of a unique thing there. Plus, I'm going to talk to my good friend Chris Desmond. He is from MemoryWeb. Also, Robert Friedman. The two of them are on an interim board of a new organization called Family History Metadata Working Group. And the idea is to kind of standardize the way we take metadata and move it along with photographs. What does that all mean? I know it's very technical. We will find out a little bit later on in the show. Hey, if you haven't signed up for our weekly Genie newsletter yet, now is the time. Just go to our website, ExtremeGenes.com, or sign up through our Facebook page. You get a blog from me each week, links to present and past shows, and links to stories that you'll find pretty fascinating as a genealogist. Right now, it's time to head out to Massachusetts, somewhere near Boston, where David Allen Lambert is standing by. He is the chief genealogist of the New England Historic Genealogical Society and AmericanAncestors.org. How you doing, David?
Hey, I'm still upright.
Yes, that's always good, because I know your area has been hit pretty hard, hasn't it?
Yeah, we have. But, we're giving it our best shot to stay healthy and keep our distance. Genealogy is doing the same thing, because my first story for you has to do with the upcoming conference that was scheduled this month in Salt Lake City. The National Genealogical Society, as many of you may have heard, has gone virtual, not viral. The idea is viral, though, because many groups are now going virtual with their conferences. So on May 20th, they will have a live version at 11 a.m., and they will also have an on-demand with many of the speakers that would have been normally seen in Salt Lake City will be available opening on July 1st after they taped all of them. I'm giving a talk on Spanish-American War veterans, and I uploaded my PowerPoint to them just the other day. So it's a new experience and a new world.
The idea, though, is fantastic, because I'm thinking there are so many more people available to actually attend the NGS conference by doing it this way. So that would be great. How do people find out more about this?
They can go simply to conference.ngsgenealogy.org.
All right. Let's move on with our family histoire news today. Where you want to start?
Well, I guess we could start with you never know who's related to you.
Right.
Or how to plan a social distancing happy hour. Well, this is what neighbors did. And these neighbors in California realized that, 4 houses down the street, another Norwegian family are actually related.
Yeah, they started to notice that they came from the same area. So one family reached out to a relative back in Norway, and I guess she had the family history there, and they looked it up and they found that they shared second great grandparents. So they're third cousins. They live just a couple of doors down apart from each other in social isolation in California. And they say the hardest thing about this is they can't go give a hug to their new relatives, but they're all very excited about it. And what a great discovery, right?
It really is. I think it would be great to see how much DNA they share, too. I think that would be kind of fun. Well, I really appreciate the next story you put on Extreme Genes because of my love for the Boston Red Sox and hometown Beantown here. Babe Ruth, when he was, one of Oz, not the New York team.
Right.
There's a great story. The the Smithsonian put out when Babe Ruth and the Great Influenza gripped Boston.
Yeah.
Now, Boston is one of the places where the pandemic of the influenza in 1918 really hit hard. It started with our soldiers that were heading off to war. Many of them actually never made it overseas because they died in the camps on the ship in Boston Harbor where they had a lot of the recruits. And Babe Ruth, being a very extroverted person, was very much going around and shaking hands and talking to veterans on his trips. He had just come back from Hot Springs, Arkansas, and that night he had 104 fever, and we almost lost him.
Yeah. We might not have had the Babe Ruth that we came to know. You know, it might have been this young guy who was such a great pitcher and hitter, but never got to fulfill his potential because he died of the Spanish flu back in 1918 in Boston. He never would have been a Yankee. There would have been no house that Ruth built. All that stuff would have never happened. It's just amazing how close he came.
It really is, and I'm grateful that the great Bambino survived the flu of 1918, and hopefully all of our listeners will survive COVID 2020. Well, you know, DNA has been great for genealogists, but it's also been great for crime solving because now in Portland, Oregon, police have solved a 21-year-old murder that took place back in 1999. A young man was murdered, and now his killer has been found.
Yeah, these long-standing cold cases are amazing, but when you opt in, who knows what you can help with? And it's great to get another killer off the street. And we're not getting as many as I think we did before the whole mess with GEDmatch last year, but it's nice that we're still seeing some progress in taking some of these people off the streets.
That's very true. Well, that's about all I have for this week from American Ancestors and south of Beantown. I hope that everyone is doing well, and my thoughts go out to all of you. And enjoy your genealogy, and if you have a chance, don't forget to ask us anything. We're always looking for your questions.
Right, and we're going to get to that a little bit later on in the show, and you'll be back. So thanks so much, David. And coming up next, we're going to talk to the photo detective, Maureen Taylor. She's got some great ideas for you to record all the things that are going on with this pandemic right now and how you can share that information with your descendants many years down the road. That's coming up when we return in 3 minutes on Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show.
Have you hit a brick wall in your family tree? Are you unsure how to use your DNA test results to resolve a research question? Do you want to travel where your ancestors walked and need to find details before you go? Need help joining a lineage society? Whatever your genealogy research question, the answer is Legacy Tree Genealogist. Legacy Tree Genealogist has been helping clients all over the globe discover their story since 2004. Legacy Tree has carefully selected and trained professionals who specialize in hundreds of countries and languages, as well as probate research and DNA analysis. And when you need experts on the ground in the countries where your ancestors came from, Legacy Tree Genealogist calls upon its global network of on-site researchers who know the local language and how to get their hands on the records you need. Legacy Tree Genealogist is the world's highest client-rated genealogy research firm and is recommended by genealogy industry leaders worldwide, including MyHeritage, 23andMe, and more. Request your free quote today at legacytree.com. That's legacytree.com.
Well, Genies, what a time we're all going through right now. And with all this time on our hands, you probably agree the best lemonade we can make out of this is to sharpen our genie axes and learn how to extend our family trees, gather more photos and documents, and discover those remarkable family stories our descendants can benefit from for generations. Well, I have more time now, too, and I want to help you learn what you need to know. That's why I've created a new Facebook group, Genealogy and Family History Breakthrough Strategies. I'm so pleased that so many of you have already signed up and are helping us to create a supportive community of family history researchers. On this page, we can brainstorm and share ideas on how to tear down those brick walls that we all have. So feel free to join us. The Facebook page again is Genealogy and Family History Breakthrough Strategies. Feel at home with others who live in our genie world and want to make the most of this unique time. Genealogy and Family History Breakthrough Strategies. Join us. Hey, Genies, it is Fisher, and everyone loves stories. From tales of daring do's to family legends about great Auntie Gemma's secret recipe for scones, stories connect us to our past, make sense of the present, and create the future. This year, Roots Tech, the world's largest genealogy conference, celebrated the story of you, The event kicked off by celebrating 10 years of Roots Tech with a look back at the stories the genealogy community has created together over the years. Attendees enriched their stories with classes about DNA and records and new technology. Keynotes this year included the inspiration behind the film The Blind Side, Leanne Toohey, Pulitzer Prize-winning photographer David Kennerly, and the NFL's all-time leading rusher Emmitt Smith. If you missed any part of these stories, you can purchase a virtual pass to gain access to 29 additional classes. The full virtual pass is available for only $129. You can watch the free session and purchase a virtual pass right now at rootstech.org. Well, here we are, all stuck indoors. I'm actually doing Extreme Genes from my home these days, and I know so many of you are working from home as well. Hey, it's Fisher here for Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show, with my good friend Maureen Taylor. She is the photo detective, and Maureen, you have a great thing working right now, this idea of creating, do we want to call it a COVID or coronavirus photo album to just keep track of the history of it, because we are living through history.
We could call it anything we want, a pandemic archive, a family archive. But I think it's a timely topic, obviously. We're all stuck in the house. The whole world has come to pretty much a pause.
Yep.
And our lives are different. You know, you think about the 1918 flu epidemic.
Oh, yeah.
As family historians, there's very little mentioned, and it's hard to find that information on your family.
Sure.
Often people didn't talk about it. So let's document what's happening now as it happens. And I have some really dynamic women here in the state of Rhode Island that created actually a state-based COVID archive.
Oh, wow.
And for the state, they even have guidelines on how to create your own personal archive in general, but it's applicable to the moment in which we're living.
Sure.
And it brings us all together. So it's things like take pictures around your neighborhood of the changes, if there are things that are different. One of their suggestions is to take a picture of your freezer.
I like the idea that we've been doing some of this stuff, both my wife Julie and I, Maureen, and it's amazing when you open your eyes and think this way, that, hey, we're going to create an archive. You'll see something and you immediately think, oh, I got to take a picture of that. Because if you're not thinking that way, you might just go, oh, look at that, how interesting, and you ignore it.
Right, and these are challenging times, right, for all of us.
Everybody.
We're all experiencing it differently. Right, we all have people that we're worried about. That there's like asking you to not only look within yourself and maybe write down a story or keep a video log of what you're feeling at the end of every day. Say you're a first responder or someone who works in a hospital, right before you come home, say a few things into your voice memo. Take a picture of nature. I had a turkey in my front yard last week.
Oh, how weird.
I live in the city of Providence, Rhode Island, and there was a huge turkey in my front yard.
You didn't go out and try to snatch it up, did you? You're not that hungry.
No, I'm not that hungry. But I was like, I was thinking, what are you doing here?
Uh-huh.
Where did you come from?
Right.
You're a single turkey.
Did you take a picture of it?
I did. I got him when he was in my neighbor's yard, so it's a little far away.
That's okay. Well, you know, it's interesting, though, because you're right. I mean, we're hearing now about sheep taking over parks and animals like alligators. There were like 5 alligators that took over a beach that's usually for tourists in South America because nobody's there and there's nobody to chase them off, you know? And
right.
Certainly we're going to see those things everywhere. We're seeing people coming back from overseas and having people do drive-by greetings for them right in our cul-de-sac here, and that's made for some interesting photos. Also, some businesses that are mostly shut down right now that are posting little sayings like biblical things, you know, about keeping hope. And I thought, well, that's a unique thing you wouldn't normally see also.
Exactly. Or for kids, have them capture their thoughts about living at this time. Have them draw pictures, have them write a little story about what they think the future will be like. I saw this hysterical video of this she had to be 4 years old. It was online someplace, and somebody had videotaped her, and she was like, I don't know, but I just need to go out. I really want to go out. But my mom says I can't go out, but that's my problem. I just want to go out. And it's sort of like that's how we're all feeling.
Sure.
And it was a great moment, and that's the kind of thing you can keep for your archive. We don't want to forget this. We want the future to look back and say, this is how we coped. Keep one of the masks that you wear or a few of the masks when we're finally
Or just take a
them.
picture of the mask. You don't need to keep
Or take
them,
a picture
you know?
of the mask. I don't know. My masks these creative types have been making are works of art.
You know, here's the thing, too, and I say this a lot. I don't know why it's stuck in my head, but the idea is we are living in somebody else's past, right? I mean,
yes.
we have people who are not born yet. We are in their past, and so it's really up to us to document it as if they are here now and present so they can understand what this whole experience has been like. And how lucky are we to have the technology we have today? Because, I mean, could you imagine having a video or with audio of one of our ancestors, a great-grandparent, a grandparent, talking about their experience as it happened in 1918?
Or the plague.
Yeah.
Or a medieval plague.
Sure, what it's like.
I mean, yes, exactly.
And we're really the first generation that can do that.
Well, in fact, it has a name. It's called Lived Experience Archiving or Rapid Response Archiving.
Really? Who comes up with these names and who certifies them?
There are archivists who do this.
Okay.
And so there's a model for this statewide project, the Rhode Island RICOVIDarchive.org, where any of us that live here in the state can add to it. And I promised I'd do my part on my next walk around the neighborhood, take some pictures and put them up.
Sure.
But there's a model for this kind of family archive, state archive, city archive. And it's important because we communicate in a digital format now.
Completely
we don't
different.
necessarily have handwritten letters. And if we did, we'd have to sanitize them before we brought them in our house anyway. So this is where we're living. Take a snapshot of your life. You know, keep a journal.
Yeah.
Of what's happening. I, however, am using Facebook for that purpose. And on my personal Facebook page every day, I sort of go on and sort of post a few things that I'm doing and then ask other people what they're doing. And people from all over the place are telling me about their day and what they're doing. And I started it because, like everyone else, I was having a very difficult time in the beginning. You know, I have family members who are on lockdown and I can't see them. And this is the longest I've ever gone without seeing them. So I thought, I'm going to reach out and just say, this is what I'm doing today. This is what I'm worried about. This is what I think is funny, just as a way of saying, hello, I'm here. I miss all of you. And then people have been responding in remarkable ways and remarkable stories.
Well, and it is fun also to hear what our fellow genies are doing right now because they've got all this free time and they're making great breakthroughs. And they're helping one another. I mean, there's like years of research being done here in this compact period of time, and you know there's going to be a lot more too. I'm seeing more DNA matches show up now too, and I would have never thought that. But obviously, these would be ones that tests that were taken late February.
Yes, right. Roots Tech.
Yeah, right. Yes, right around Roots Tech.
And I personally, as the photo detective, I'm going to say that there's an awful lot of people going through their photo archives right now.
Yep. My wife is. She's going crazy with it. And, you know, we've got Memory Web now, which is an incredible tool for the metadata for that and to organize it in ways we've never seen before. In fact, we're going to be talking to Chris Desmond, one of the creators here, coming up in just a little bit. So I'm excited about that. You know, really this...
I love Memory Web.
Oh,
love it.
Yes,
I use it.
Absolutely, you use it. So I love the idea, Maureen, of creating this COVID, whatever you want to call it, journal with lots of photographs because they're so easy to take. You know, think about it the old days, right? We'd go out, we'll take the film over to Payless and we'll have it in a week and we'll pick the ones we want and we don't have to deal with that stuff anymore. Man, we can create it so quick. And we can even publish books online and have them show up at our door if you want a physical book of this, which I think would be a great thing to have that can get passed down. And, you know, I think it's a lot easier to keep those from getting lost often than the digital versions, right?
Right. Well, here's the thing. They can create the photo archive of their life as it stands right now, or, you know, you can't actually put your video into Memory Web yet, but you can actually create an album that says, here's your pandemic album. You can keyword it all so you can always find them. But there's a lot of things that you can do now to document this for the future, not just for your children as they get older, but for your grandchildren and great-grandchildren, because later people are going to ask, what was it like to live during that?
Yes, they are, and we'll have a lot to tell them, won't we?
That's right. But if we're not around, We'll have written it down.
That's it.
You can record your family meetings on Zoom.
Yes, we're doing that every Sunday now from all over the country.
And yeah, we're doing it as well with our kids. But here's the thing. We were supposed to have a big family reunion this year. It's canceled.
Of course.
It's been pushed off, of course, because how are we going to spend 6 feet apart? And so I actually created a new course called Cousin Connections, planning a virtual family reunion. Essentially, that's what I'll be doing.
Well, you think about that. Let's just pretend we did have a live family reunion and said, we're going to do it and we're all going to social distance. How in the world would that work? How do you not hug your great aunt? How do you not hug your favorite cousin? I just couldn't imagine.
How do you do the buffet?
The buffet, yes. We'd have to have those plastic screens, everybody wearing masks, so you couldn't really know who anybody is, except for maybe the great big name tag. No, I don't see that working.
Right.
No,
I don't see it working. So ours has been rescheduled.
For 2021?
Well, hopefully.
Maybe.
2021.
Yeah. Well,
That's
put off.
when it's booked for.
Yeah.
We'll see.
They put off Oktoberfest this year, and it's the first time. Yeah, Oktoberfest in Germany. It's like 178 years old, that whole thing. It's the first year they've ever missed. So they're coming back the following year, and they're losing out on something like 1.2 billion euros. So, Maureen, great stuff as always. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, and I think it's a fabulous idea. I think a lot of us are already starting to do this, but I think if we can get the mindset, we're going to wind up with a fabulous archive that's going to really tell the story of our times, because each of us is experiencing it differently. Maybe a lost job, maybe a lost relative, maybe just the fear of the whole thing, the isolation. I'm talking to relatives who are calling often just saying, I'm alone, I'm so blue, I need to talk. I mean, right. The mental side of this is just incredible, but great idea, and thanks so much for coming on and talking about it.
Thank you, Scott.
And, of course, you can follow Maureen at MaureenTaylor.com. And coming up next, Chris Desmond from Memory Web and Robert Friedman. They're part of an interim board of a brand new thing called the Family History Metadata Working Group. You're going to want to hear what they're up to in 5 minutes on Extreme Genes.
Looking for an easy way to show off your family history and share it with your family? Family Chartmasters offers beautiful custom pedigree art pieces and inexpensive family reunion draft charts in any design or size that fits your needs. With a free consultation at FamilyChartmasters.com, you can get started creating a new family masterpiece. Family Chartmasters has over 11 years of experience in creating and printing family charts. They can print any style genealogy chart from any genealogy file and can create exactly what you're looking for. You'll work with a specialized and talented consultant whose goal is to make you happy. Decorative charts make fantastic gifts for all occasions. And with Family Chartmasters' option of ordering duplicate charts at half price along with your original purchase at full price, you can afford to give a family heirloom to each member of your family. Contact Family Chartmasters today at FamilyChartmasters.com for your free consultation. Family Chartmasters will give the greatest care to your family history. Scientific studies have proven that youth who know even a little bit about their family history perform better academically and have a greater sense of personal confidence and stability. Genealogy is its own incredible superpower that arms our children with super strength. But how do you get your child or grandchild interested in studying their family history? That kind of stuff is just for grandmas, right? Not anymore. ZapTheGrandmaGap.com leaps the generation gap in a single bound. Author Janet Havorka provides you with useful and timely advice on helping the young people in your life become engaged in their own family history. Janet has an entire collection of books to inspire the young and the young at heart in fun, interactive ways. She also offers creative tips and advice on her blog and in her free weekly newsletter. Stop by ZapTheGrandmaGap.com today to sign up for Janet's free email newsletter with 52 weeks of easy tips, free downloads, and order your set of resource books and workbooks.
We are talking photography today on Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show, and ExtremeGenes.com. It is Fisher here, your radio root sleuth, and it is so good to have my good friend Chris Desmond back on. He's the Memory Web guy, And at Roots Tech this past year, he was part of the announcement of a metadata working group coming together. And Chris, so we're going to talk to you today kind of in your role as part of that, one of the organizers of the interim board. And what is a metadata working group? What does that mean to people who might be scanning their photographs during the pandemic?
Great lead in there. Yeah, lots happened since Roots Tech, but there was a group of different companies last fall that came together: Family Search, Vivid Pics, FISO, Permanent, and MemoryWeb, with the need that we found in the industry related to metadata. And right now, the current issue is that companies will sometimes work with metadata, put in key tags of caption, album, event, people, location, but then once those photos leave a platform, the metadata is not mapped necessarily to any fields or the right field so that they can be read and read by other organizations.
So if I found a photograph then basically online and I right click and say, okay, save this to my computer, I lose all that stuff basically, right?
Yeah, and different organizations allow you, including even Facebook and Google, allow you to take digital files outside of their platform. And the need or the drive that the industry is going for is mapping all the key information. Because when you go into a platform, you take like Family Search, and you go in there and you have a photo of a relative, and you tag the date, you say where this was, who it was, some key information. When you take that photo out of there, you go to download, you want to make sure that all your hard work is saved.
Right.
Whether it's going to be Family Search, it's going to be Ancestry, MyHeritage, MemoryWeb, Vivid Pics, all of these organizations have that capability of the metadata organization. Now it's a matter of setting the standards so that as photos are shared between organizations or to you, the user, that information is not lost.
That's awesome.
So what we're trying to do is focus in on some of the key areas that are most commonly used by family historians. So we're focusing on people, location, caption, date, album, event, and copyrights. And those are the different areas that we find to be most commonly used. And right now, we have those organizations involved, and I'm really excited to also have Robert from Permanent. Robert's been a key piece, too, because what's neat about this, Scott, is that all of these companies have different perspectives that they're bringing, but we all have the same drive and initiative. So maybe, Robert, you can give your perspective on your role and some of the things you're hoping to accomplish.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. Permanent is a nonprofit organization providing a digital storage repository for families, individuals, and small organizations. So we have a software product, and our mission is digital preservation for 100 years and beyond.
Wow. Okay.
So treating digital files with the same care that we apply to the physical photos and memorabilia that we have at home that might contain handwritten notes or other important details that add depth to a story is of critical importance to families and historians.
Right.
So we're really invested in making sure that metadata, which is a lot like those hand-scribbled notes that add that detail, we want to make sure that those details persist.
Right.
And the status quo in the industry, not necessarily the kind of organizations you might find at Roots Tech who they're more invested in this area, but the status quo in the general industry amongst photo software platforms isn't necessarily to preserve those details.
Sure. So what you're doing then basically is trying to find a way not only for the big boys, but maybe let that trickle down to some of these smaller organizations and platforms so that we can all have that. And for people, by the way, who aren't particularly savvy when it comes to understanding all the technical stuff, you just have to understand that those things that are often written on the back of your photograph, we want to make sure that that information travels with the picture. And this is what MemoryWeb does. This is what the struggle is, basically, is to keep that information almost as if you're able to copy the front and back of the picture, which, by the way, MemoryWeb already does, but to standardize it and keep it in these basic fields. And so then when you copy it and you share it with somebody else, it kind of travels with the picture. And then you're able to maintain that information, because the bottom line is the background and the story of the picture and who's in the picture and the dates and all that information that Chris was talking about earlier, that is just as important as the photograph itself and its preservation.
Yeah, absolutely. And the born digital stuff, so not just the physical things you're scanning in, but also the things that you are capturing now, don't necessarily contain that information. So when you take a photo on your iPhone, it's not always the case that historically valuable family information is included there. So when you import those into platforms like Permanent or Memory Web and you add that information, to add value to that born digital material, you want to make sure that that travels with that material. And it's a surprising fact that in many cases, when you upload digital materials to a social media platform, for example, they will strip all of that out.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you don't want that.
And part of the challenge is a typical photo will have nearly 3,000 what they call metadata fields, places that you can store this information. And let's pick on the date field by itself.
Okay.
There are 99 different metadata fields just for date.
Really?
So the problem we have is,
these are the kind of details that your camera might add to a photo automatically when you set the date and time in your camera. Your computer might add to that photo when you upload it. The software might add to that photo when you edit it. So these are all dates and times that are appended, added to digital material as it goes through a sequence of activities.
Oh, wow.
And it can get pretty confusing when you've got 99 of them to decide which is the one that represents the moment the photo was taken in the first place.
Okay. All right. I got that. Now you got to explain to me, guys, what our listeners can do to be part of this or be involved in helping create these standards and why they'd want to be part of this.
It's a great question. And the bottom line is the reason why we created this group and the reason why we're trying to create these standards is so all the listeners and the users and folks like us that are family historians will have their hard work saved for future generations to come. That's our mission. Okay. And now this is the how. The how is for us to help develop standards for the organizations to use so the users can benefit, because everybody's using different platforms, and it would be a perfect world if all of those platforms allowed the metadata to travel with the photos of their hard work, wherever a user wants to take it. That's our goal.
Love it.
Yeah, for most of your listeners, we're hoping that they become aware of this issue and then hold the platforms to a higher standard.
Got it. Okay. It's the Family History Metadata Working Group. Where can they find out more online, guys?
So they can contact us with our email address at info@familyhistorymetadataworkinggroup.org. So it's info@fhmwg.org. And that will go to all of the interim board members. And then there is a website coming, www.savemetadata.org.
We hope to have it live soon with much of the information we just shared and a list of the different partners who are supporting the work.
That's awesome. Guys, thanks so much. Chris Desmond from Memory Web, Robert Friedman from Permanent, and of course they are officers in this new interim board on this metadata working group that's getting together to help us with family history to make sure we have some standards to maintain all that metadata that goes with the photographs. It's important stuff. Guys, thanks so much for coming on the show. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you.
All right, and coming up next, it's another round of Ask Us Anything on Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show in 3 minutes. Genies, it's Fisher with a thanks and a shout out to members of our Extreme Genes Patron Club. We are blessed to have so many friends of the show supporting Extreme Genes. Monthly contributions start at just $1 and go up to the cost of a couple of really tasty large smoothies with added fruit. Just $8. Patron Club member benefits include early podcast access, and our special bonus podcasts include photo experts, legal experts, DNA specialists, and so many more. You can even get expert advice on specific questions you're struggling with in your family history research. So go to patreon.com/extremegenes and get signed up. That's patreon.com/extremegenes. Now, I know those smoothies would taste great, but they're not nearly as satisfying as discovering your family. The choice is yours. So get signed up right now. We look forward to helping you out. And thanks for supporting Extreme Genes. Hey, Genies, it is Fisher, and it was sure fun to watch the Memory Web booth when I was at Roots Tech in Salt Lake City in late February, as so many people got to know my friends Chris and Nancy Desmond. They are the co-creators of Memory Web, the 21st century way to preserve your photographs along with all the metadata that goes with it. Who's in those pictures? What year was that taken? What's the story behind the photograph? Where was it taken? How would you like to be able to organize all your photographs digitally and then search them as if you were doing a Google search? It's really that easy. And you can find out how easy it is by going to their website, memoryweb.me/extremegenes. That's memoryweb.me/extremegenes. There is no product for organizing photos that you'll find on the market that's better than Memory Web. Find out for yourself. You've got the time. What a great project to be doing over the next several months. That's memoryweb.me/extremegenes. Well, Genies, what a time we're all going through right now. And with all this time on our hands, you probably agree the best lemonade we can make out of this is to sharpen our genie axes and learn how to extend our family trees, gather more photos and documents, and discover those remarkable family stories our descendants can benefit from for generations. Well, I have more time now, too, and I want to help you learn what you need to know. That's why I've created a new Facebook group, Genealogy and Family History Breakthrough Strategies. I'm so pleased that so many of you have already signed up and are helping us to create a supportive community of family history researchers. On this page, we can brainstorm and share ideas on how to tear down those brick walls that we all have. So feel free to join us. The Facebook page again is Genealogy and Family History Breakthrough Strategies. Feel at home with others who live in our genie world and want to make the most of this unique time. Genealogy and Family History Breakthrough Strategies. Join us. And we are back for Ask Us Anything on Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show, and extremegenes.com. It is Fisher here, your radio root sleuth, with David Allen Lambert, back from the New England Historic Genealogical Society, direct from his home in isolation in Stoughton, Massachusetts. And David, we have a question here from Tony Daniel. He says, love your show. I have an Ask Us Anything question that comes from a somewhat odd angle. He said, several times over the years, my mother mentioned that her father, my grandfather, had a child with another woman. So I have results from her autosomal DNA and my own. I've puzzled over the matches, but I can't figure a way to determine if one of them on my grandfather's side might be a descendant of my apocryphal long-lost half-cousin, if he or she actually exists. Do you have any suggestion on how to proceed? Or is there a way to eliminate the possibility and lay this family legend to rest? Well, David, I'm thinking, first of all, we got to correct him on that. I'm sure you picked up on it, too.
Oh, yeah.
You're talking about a descendant of your half-uncle or half-aunt. Yes, because it's a half-sibling of your mother. And so your challenge then would be, first of all, perhaps this person is still living. And if maybe a child of that half-aunt or half-uncle did a test, then you might come across a half-cousin.
Well, right. And with the DNA, I mean, one thing you can look at, I have Blaine Bettinger's version 3.0 in front of me of the Shared Centimorgan Project, and it tells me that a half-first cousin is about 457 centimorgans.
Well, I got to correct you, David, because he's just come out with version 4.0 in March.
Oh, I got to send.
and so the half cousin's 449 centimorgans now, and the full cousin would be 866. The bottom line is, Tony, that there is a definite way to differentiate between a half first cousin and a full cousin. There's a major difference. And so, depending on how many half cousins you think you have, the known ones, I would think that if you came up with any half cousin at all, they'd be a strong candidate to come through your half aunt or your half uncle.
It could be interesting to see how many first cousins pop up. So keep on looking at your DNA results. That grandparent was as, how shall I say, productive as they were to produce another half cousin.
Exactly.
You may have more.
Yeah, and you know that there are a lot of these situations that come up, and it's possible that nobody has tested from that branch of the family yet. So it might be a while, and it might be the kind of thing where you just have to wait it out. But I will tell you that there are a lot of friends that I've had that needed help with DNA projects. One of them started in 2012, and we couldn't get anywhere with it in 2012, 2013, 2014. And finally, somebody tested in 2018. We came back to it that year, and we were able to identify his birth father and birth grandparents, which, by the way, was another line of illegitimacy, quote unquote. So we were able to go back and solve all that mystery, but it took many years. And this is the thing, we're so used to everything being so quick, and we want answers right now, and we certainly do, and we often get them right now. But genealogy still is often a matter of hurry up and wait, and hopefully you'll get that match somewhere down the line.
I remember the days when we'd sit by the mailbox waiting for the letter to show up. Now we get instant email. Now it's just a matter of waiting for cousins to show up. It's
yes.
like waiting for people to come to dinner.
Yeah, you're exactly right. So thanks so much for the question, Tony, and hope that helps you out a little bit. And, of course, if you have a question for Ask Us Anything, once again, the email address is simple. Just askusanything@extremegenes.com. All right, we're going to take a break. And we're going to come back in 3 minutes and hopefully give a little help with another one of your questions when we return on Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show, and extremegenes.com.
Looking for an easy way to show off your family history and share it with your family? Family Chart Masters offers beautiful custom pedigree art pieces and inexpensive family reunion draft charts in any design or size that fits your needs. With a free consultation at FamilyChartMasters.com, you can get started creating a new family masterpiece. Family Chart Masters has over 11 years of experience in creating and printing family charts. They can print any style genealogy chart from any genealogy file and can create exactly what you're looking for. You'll work with a specialized and talented consultant whose goal is to make you happy. Decorative charts make fantastic gifts for all occasions. And with Family Chart Masters' option of ordering duplicate charts at half price along with your original purchase at full price, you can afford to give a family heirloom to each member of your family. Contact Family Chart Masters today at FamilyChartMasters.com for your free consultation. Family Chart Masters will give the greatest care to your family history.
When was the last time you heard your grandmother's voice or saw your family enjoying life back in the 1950s or 60s? If the reason is you haven't known what to do with your old recordings, videos, and films, here's your answer. The Multimedia Center in Salt Lake City.
We brought in a video project to the Multimedia Center, and overnight they duplicated it to DVD so we could meet our deadline.
The Multimedia Center, 2870 East, 3300 South, Salt Lake City. Open Monday through Friday, 10 to 6. Call 801-483-1717 or go to transferduplication.com.
Genies, it's Fisher with exciting news. The Weekly Genie, the official newsletter of Extreme Genes, is here. It's your Monday morning briefing on what's happening in the world of genealogy and family history and on Extreme Genes. Get all the details of jaw-dropping stories of discovery and keep up with the latest techniques in family history research. Get to know more about your favorite Extreme Genes personalities. And it's free. Sign up for the Weekly Genie now at extremegenes.com or the Extreme Genes Facebook page. And when you do, you'll receive David Allen Lambert's top 10 tips for beginning genealogists from the chief genealogist of the New England Historic Genealogical Society. Sign up today for the Weekly Genie. All right, we are back for our final question on Ask Us Anything on Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show, and extremegenes.com. Fisher here, your radio root sleuth. David Allen Lambert, the chief genealogist of the New England Historic Genealogical Society and AmericanAncestors.org. And David, this question comes from Oklahoma City. Irvin Waldron is asking about Spanish-American War pension records. He says he sees the Civil War ones on Fold 3 and on Ancestry.com, the Revolutionary ones. Where are those Spanish-American pension records?
You know, actually, it's right where you think it is. It's actually in the Civil War indexes. But
what?
The Civil War, yeah. The general index to pension files, 1861 to 1934, because 1861 being the start of the Civil War, everybody categorizes that collection as the Civil War Pension Index. The truth of the matter is it covers any military pensions through 1934.
Wow.
That could also be for someone who was injured in some way during the Spanish-American War, the Philippine insurrection, any of the Indian wars, as well as people that were perhaps even injured in the Mexican border war with Pancho Villa.
Really?
So the Spanish-American War, for sure, it's right there. In fact, if you go to fold 3, if you look at the T288 index, that's the index that's alphabetical. So this general pension index for those years is A to Z. The T289, which is the organizational index, that actually is more useful because it shows you a more modern card. And in case of a person that I've researched, if I look at T288, it says he's in Company C, 8th Massachusetts Infantry. Well, there was a Company C, 8th Massachusetts Infantry in the Civil War. Except for the year of his pension, a little later than the Civil War when he applied for it, there's really no indication the guy was in the Spanish-American War. If I look at the T289, the organizational index, and I go into fold 3 and I search Massachusetts 8th Infantry, Company C, and look for his name, the card is stamped War with Spain.
Huh.
And now I know that the guy was in the Spanish-American War and not in the Civil War.
That sounds like a lot of work to separate the two. You'd hope that somewhere along the line they'd be able to do that and make maybe a separate listing, but that might take far too much work. I guess maybe it was just the way it was laid out on a microfilm at some point?
Well, they were all index cards, and so
Okay.
the card index stayed the same until the VA picked up the process in 1934 and continued on the pensions. That's why some pension numbers have an X or an XC. Those are often pensions that either had a widow or the soldier still alive post-1934. So they're with the VA, not actually with the National Archives.
And what about World War I records? Are they included in that up through 1934?
Well, here's the problem is you don't see a lot of them because they didn't qualify for pensions like the general service. In fact, there was a bonus march on Washington in 1922, I believe it was. And basically, they never got it. So they never received any pension. And for all those guys that were gassed and mustard gas in World War I, it's a tragedy.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, I do remember there was that big march on Washington against Herbert Hoover at the time of the Depression, and they wanted their money at that time. Yeah.
That's very true. And I'll tell you, it's sad because we've lost so many of the records from World War I veterans when that big fire in St. Louis, Missouri occurred in 1973. To think that a pension file held elsewhere would be a gold mine of information that we never have.
All right. Thank you so much, David. And thank you, Irvin, for the question. And if you have a question for us for Ask Us Anything, all you have to do is email us at askusanything@extremegenes.com. Talk to you next week, David.
All right, my friend. Take care.
And that's our show for this week. Thanks once again to Maureen Taylor, the photo detective, talking about how to put together your own history of your experience through the pandemic. Thanks also to Chris Desmond and Robert Friedman. They're on the interim board of a brand new thing called the Family History Metadata Working Group. If you missed any of our visit with these people, catch the podcast on extremegenes.com, iTunes, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, and Spotify. Talk to you again next week. Thanks for joining us. And remember, as far as everyone knows, we're a nice, normal family.